A moment later, he thought Rocky sure was skilled in both palm and fist techniques, both at the mastery realm. For 10 years, he researched and contemplated them every single day. The longer it's aged, the more precious it becomes. Light emanated from a sphere above. Luke turned around in alarm. He now found himself in a different space, with a blue sky full of twinkling lights. He threw a punch. Zooming in on his finger, you could see tiny bacteria being blown away. Luke then looked happily at the sphere in front of him. Good technique. Even such a tiny thing can do so much. What is the core essence of Rocky Sher's martial arts? Just as he wondered, he cried out in alarm. This is such a powerful martial will. The sphere in the air showed an image of Rocky Sher effortlessly lifting a supermassive mountain with one hand. In Rocky Sher's other hand, a golden sphere emitted a powerful light. Luke thought, this move is still connected to my thoughts. This move is called Wrathful King's Quake. The Wrathful King, with his indestructible appearance and immovable, compassionate heart. Nothing can change it. He also possesses a great wisdom that the world finds hard to comprehend. When a wrathful king gets angry, the heavens and earth change color, and all evil spirits that harass living beings retreat in fear. At this moment, an image of an angry Buddha appeared, along with a shining crystal in the air. Earth's breath, from the soles of my feet, it feels like an endless source of power emerges. Immovable as the wrathful king, Luke quickly clasped his hands together, radiating spiritual power. His movements were also like the wrathful king's. Luke's spiritual power formed a large human figure that raised its hand along with him. As his arm moved, the earth and rocks shattered and flew into the air. Such powerful potential, a potential that even Grandmaster Tanjonyu couldn't display. The sphere then broke apart, revealing a small stone inside. This unremarkable little stone is Rocky Sher's Grandmaster Will. It's so simple, yet as steadfast as Mount Tai. Thinking this, Luke clenched the stone in his palm. The stability of the Guardian Stone, when Rocky Sher became a Grandmaster, it had reached its peak. I thought I could contain 2 different types, but I didn't expect to find that I can have more than one. Although I feel like I could be promoted to the Grandmaster level immediately, I have a feeling if I choose the stellar body tempering technique to do so, the balance in my body will be immediately broken. The most likely outcome is that, apart from the stellar Grandmaster's Tao, this is very likely to happen, unless it's a great Grandmaster stellar Tao. The will has already been absorbed, now I can send him away. An image of 3 people appeared. Luke continued. But to me, this is very important. This won't do if it can't be fully integrated. He looked up at the sky and wondered, what should I do now? Before I advance a Grandmaster, I must find a solution. Or find a path that truly belongs to me. After a long night, the next morning arrived quickly. Tall buildings were silhouetted against the early morning sun. Luke was using the wind's rest breathing technique on the street amidst the passing crowd. Meditating didn't yield any results. I'll go for a walk. I haven't even walked around the capital properly yet. Suddenly, a chessboard appeared before him, catching his attention and making him stop. He silently watched 2 men playing chess. An old man in a cap said, "Old Lou, hurry up, I need to go eat." The bald old man called Old Lou was still deep in thought, calculating his moves. The black and white pieces on the board, attacking and defending, are very similar to the different Grandmaster wills I've absorbed. They're difficult to reconcile. Luke thought seriously, wait, this round chess. One chess piece was placed on top of another. Stacking. The old man in the cap cheered happily, checkmate, then laughed, hee hee. Luke's eyes widened in complete surprise. He sat down again to observe the 2 stacked chess pieces, then let out a sigh. So annoying. Not even a single clue. Then Luke's stomach growled. He rubbed his stomach, drooling, and said, in the end, it's just a few brothers. A moment later, he appeared in a noodle shop and raised a finger. 1 bowl of jajangmyeon, boss. The owner smiled brightly and replied, all right, coming right up while sweating profusely from the heat. In front of him, a mother was scolding her 2 young children. Sit further away, you'll hurt your eyes. He happily thought of his own family. After clearing all 7 Saint Towers, my life at the Marshall Saint University is almost over. Time flies. Maybe I should take the opportunity to go home for a visit. Just then, the owner brought out a bowl of noodles with all the toppings, urging, "Hurry up, kid." So that's how it is. Although everyone's martial arts has its own strengths, Luke was overjoyed as he looked down at the bowl of noodles. A perfect grandmaster like me will learn from the strengths of others, synthesize them all, and even make them perfect, without any errors or shortcomings. I didn't expect to have such a small gain. As he slurped his noodles, he was excited. I found it. Although I haven't figured out how to integrate so many grandmaster wills yet. At least I have a direction. Luke then shouted, "Boss, 5 more bowls." Although it was still steaming hot, the owner happily replied, "All right, young man, you're a martial artist, aren't you? You eat a lot. Don't let down on my small shop. We have a lot of customers. There are even 3 or 4 great martial masters who often come to my place to eat. Each time, they have to eat more than 20 bowls." Luke replied happily, "It's really delicious. If I have time in the future, I'll come often." The owner brought out a tray with 5 large, fragrant bowls of noodles and said, "All right. Next time, remember to bring your girlfriend. I'll add an extra poached egg for you." A bowl of noodles in the middle had a beautifully placed egg on top. Luke couldn't stop exclaiming, "This circle is perfect." Although the problem isn't solved yet, maybe after a few more bowls, I'll have a solution. Special Ops Superhuman Transform Fury Mode. Suddenly, a sound made him stop his enthusiastic eating and look up. On the screen was a superhuman with a sun-shaped face emitting fire. The little boy clenched his fist fiercely and said, "Bala Bala, the demon beast is done for. Special Ops Superhuman's Fury Mode is the strongest." The little girl immediately retorted, "Who says? Special Ops Superhuman's Ice Mode is the strongest." Fury Mode. Ice Mode. An image of a superhuman grabbing a dimensional beast by the neck appeared. Luke suddenly seemed to have an idea, repeating in his head, "Fury. Ice. Mode." The superhuman with the sun-shaped face appeared with a twisted smile. A moment later, at the noodle shop, a young man in a cap raised 4 fingers and said to the owner, "Boss, for bowls of jajangmyeon." He turned and smiled at his friend. "This noodle shop looks shabby, but the taste is really not bad. I've been here many times." The short-haired girl next to him was scrolling through her phone and replied, The young man continued, "Ever since I advanced to a 2nd-level martial artist, my energy consumption has increased and I eat more." The girl suddenly turned her head, saw something, and was surprised. She then pointed in one direction and told her friend, "Look, that person eats even more than you. His martial arts strength is probably not weak either." The person they were talking about was Luke Saint. He was eating like a storm, devouring everything in sight. One hand holding a chicken leg to gnaw on, the other holding chopsticks to slurp noodles. As he finished, he thought, "If I want to become a perfect grandmaster, what should my next 2 steps be?" Suddenly, the voice from the TV spoke again, catching his attention. "Watch this. My ultimate move." Luke immediately looked up in surprise. In front of him were several stacks of bowls he had already eaten clean. On the TV screen, the superhuman was unleashing a move while shouting, "Blazing Lion." Suddenly, a bowl of noodles fell onto the table. Luke looked up in complete shock. He suddenly exclaimed, "That's it. A circle, the most perfect shape in terms of physics. The shape of the perfect Grandmaster's Tao." Then Luke's eyes became sharp. "So what about the color? What color can represent my martial arts? Ice and fire. The difference is represented by blue and red. And also, when I absorbed Rocky Shure's Guardian before, what method I used to make them?" Luke focused his thoughts. He finally snapped his eyes open. "Gray." At that moment, he knew. That's right, gray represents mystery and ignorance. along with countless possibilities. The perfect martial path, governing all paths, encompassing all things. Looking at his hands, he said again, but just governing all paths doesn't mean I have to overpower others. I am a 6th-level martial artist, creating a martial art that is even stronger than the strongest at the 7th level. Impossible. After all, I still can't judge. He couldn't stop asking himself, how can I make those 3 things? An image of 3 projections of 3 people appeared before his eyes. Luke suddenly opened his eyes. He cheered happily, startling the 2 young people who had been watching him. I've got it. The young man turned and whispered, this kid not only likes to watch children's cartoons, but he also shouts a lot. The girl replied, that's right. The young man snorted, then looked around. The girl was still innocently saying, I think he's both silly and funny, but the young man had already seen the newspaper posted on the wall. On that newspaper was a picture of Luke Saint. Luke Saint, the strongest newcomer. The girl saw her friend's contorted expression and asked, confused, what's wrong with you? The young man was still staring straight at the newspaper, stammering, it's him. Then a shout that could be heard far outside. Luke Saint. A while later, Luke had returned to his room. Leaning against the window, he thought, mobilize spiritual power, inner energy, and vitality. Pour everything into it. Luke closed his eyes, spread his arms, and radiated an aura. He then opened his eyes. I feel a scorching breath sweep through my body. An ice-cold energy courses through my flesh and bones. A gentle power reshapes the deepest parts of my body. The various impurities in my body have been cleansed, reaching the 2nd stage of the immortal golden body. My spiritual power and vitality are becoming even more vibrant and vigorous. Luke felt as if he were swimming in an endless, cold river. I feel a deeper understanding of the void. I am immersed in the energy that roams throughout the heavens, the earth, the universe, endless. Suddenly, Luke was plunged into a pool of water, splashing everywhere. Soaked, he cried out in pain, this is clearly a space of consciousness. Why does it feel like I'm drowning? He suddenly opened his eyes. This is... At that moment, a man was being attacked by a crazed woman. One side of his face was exposed bone. The old man then thrust a powerful, flaming blade forward. The short-haired man unexpectedly stabbed through the old man's body. Luke observed the scene within his will and said, there are now 3 different wills in my head, and they're fighting each other. No one would believe it if I told them. Whatever. If this continues, I might die from the insanity caused by the conflict between the 3 wills sooner or later. His hand touched his chest, which was emitting a dark energy. He then smiled with determination. If that's the case, let me go over there and try. Stepping in between the 3 of them, he shouted, okay, fellas, all eyes on me. The 3 of them looked down at him. Luke raised his hand, drawing in the dark energies. I, Luke Saint, use this mortal body to establish the perfect Grandmaster's Tao, the 12th level kingly path that Wang He couldn't complete. Let me walk it. What Wang He couldn't do, let me do it. He became more and more frenzied, shouting, the power you can't control, I can control. The power you can't restrain, I can restrain. The dark energy was pulled down even more rapidly. The 3 figures stood as still as mountains. Luke, still with his hand outstretched, pulling in the energy, shouted to be able to become the foundation of the perfect martial path. His eyes became even more resolute. Is your supreme glory. Why do you not submit? How dare you not submit? Come to me. Finally, colored stones began to emerge from the mouths of the 3 figures. All 3 stones merged with the dark energy, swirling in Luke's hand. Streams of colored light shot down, creating a massive shockwave. A figure was obscured in the smoke. I just used a few simple slogans to intimidate such powerful martial wills. A formation appeared before Luke, with 4 martial wills arranged symmetrically on it. He cheered happily. Success. This is a martial will that truly belongs to me. Stellar will. Luke smiled with satisfaction. Meanwhile, at the vice principal's office, True Tai-im was working inside. His hand was holding a document. Suddenly, a powerful force appeared, startling True Tai-im. He quickly stood up and shouted, "Who is it?" His secretary also burst in frantically. "What's wrong, Vice Principal True?" True Tai-im was sweating, looking up. He then tried to calm down and said, "It's nothing. You can leave." "Oh, right. Please call Luke Saint to my office. I have something important to discuss with him." The secretary turned to leave and replied, "All right, Vice Principal True." She thought to herself, ever since the last time Vice Principal True broke the window and flew out, he seems to have become more and more sensitive. True Tai-im, inside, thought with a grave expression, was that momentary sensation of a level 7 spiritual master in illusion. At that moment, in a large building, a figure stood at a window, radiating spiritual power that enveloped the entire building. It was Luke Saint. His spiritual power even covered the surrounding buildings. In his room, he thought with satisfaction, "Not bad. After condensing my own Grandmaster's will, my spiritual power can reach this level. Before, I could only vaguely perceive the outside world, but now I can observe it clearly. My spiritual power can touch everything. My strength has definitely surpassed level 6, and by a lot. I wonder if I can reach level 7. But the most important thing is to test the effects of the perfect Grandmaster's Tao first." First, Luke clasped his hands together, and his illusionary figure behind him did the same. He used Heaven's Call, Breath of Earth. His energy flowed down through the floors and into the ground. "Rise!" He raised his hand, releasing a powerful surge of energy. A chunk of earth from below was lifted by his power. He then used Frozen Prison, Breath of Superconduction, freezing the chunk of earth solid. Breath of Ice. I can condense my own power and compress it, like water freezing into ice. Luke was now standing on top of a building, yet he could still condense it. This breathing method is truly miraculous. A moment later, a golden sphere appeared above his head. Finally, a complete transformation. Luke's entire body erupted in a flame more powerful than ever before, his eyes glowing brightly. A truly complete stellar will, 10 times stronger than Grandmaster Shungning's. Now, if I use the stellar will to execute 10 suns raining the sky, can I defeat the great Grandmaster in the Martial Saint Tower? I don't know, but I really want to try. Luke looked down at the power in his fist. He then brushed himself off and sighed. This power is truly too domineering, too arbitrary. But then he noticed 2 young men pushing and shoving each other at the gate. Those 2 down there are hesitating. "Hey, you go knock." "No, you go knock." This is the Demon King's castle. Suddenly, Luke appeared behind them, startling the 2 youths. He asked, "What's wrong? Are you looking for me?" The young man immediately stood at attention, saluted, and reported, Report to the Demon King. Luke Saint. The Vice Principal sent us. The Vice Principal asked you to go over there. He said it's important." Luke replied, "Is that so? I understand." The 2 youths quickly bowed. "Okay, then we'll be leaving now." They then ran for their lives, terrified. He's so scary. The aura he gives off is terrifying. It's both scorching hot and bone-chillingly cold. I'm a level 5 martial artist, and I didn't even dare to breathe loudly in front of him. Next time, whoever wants to go can go. I wouldn't go even if you beat me to death. Facing Vice Principal True isn't as scary as facing Luke Saint. Scene changed to a while later. Luke was now in the Vice Principal's office. True Tai poured tea and said, "Student Luke Saint, I called you here today to discuss 2 things. First, you swept through all 7 Martial Saint Towers and set a historical record. The reward has been fully prepared." His face was filled with excitement. A total of 75,000 academic points. Luke just stared, the room falling silent. With a nonchalant expression, Luke asked, "Is that all?" True Tai jumped up and shouted, "That's 75,000 academic points. Enough for you to graduate 150 times. What more do you want?" "Luke, slightly startled, replied, "Why would I need to graduate so many times for no reason? What about supplements? Dimensional marrow fluid? Weapons?" True Time sat back down, trying to compose himself. "Right. You've only been enrolled for over 2 months. Check the school website." Luke then took out his phone to check. True Time continued. "Apart from the required points for graduation, the additional points can be exchanged for items." Luke said, "Not bad." The vice principal continued. "Level 4-dimensional beast blood is only 5 points. Level 4 and 5 weapons are only a few dozen to 100 points. Grandmaster level guidance is 10 points per week. Level 6-dimensional marrow fluid is 1,000 points per serving." Luke then casually asked, "All right, is there any level 7-dimensional marrow fluid?" True Time, who had just calmed down enough to take a sip of tea, sprayed it all out upon hearing that. He shot up again, questioning him repeatedly. "Level 7-dimensional marrow fluid? You need to use level 7 items? Are you preparing to advance to Grandmaster? Has your Grandmaster's will fully condensed?" Luke replied calmly, "Yes, I'm just a little short on my vitality value." He thought to himself, the vitality of a Grandmaster and a normal martial artist are worlds apart because a Grandmaster's vitality has been tempered by their martial will. So I have to wait until the immortal golden body completes its second stage, then use my martial will to transform everything from my vitality to my physique. True Time was in shock, thinking just a little short on vitality. Grandmaster is not a level that could be reached just with resources. That hurdle of martial will has stopped countless people. And he's only 18, and his Grandmaster's will has already fully formed? A true teenage Grandmaster. After a moment of tiring excitement, he sat back down and said, "Let alone the St. Martial University, even a military district would find it difficult to procure level 7-dimensional marrow fluid. The procedures are also super complicated, and you need to pass a strength test." Luke asked, confused, "Why is that?" True Time explained, "Because the blood cells of a level 7-dimensional beast contain many negative factors. With our current level of science, no one can completely remove them. If someone without sufficient strength drinks it, their mind will be eroded by the residual martial will of the level 7-dimensional beast. Therefore, even Grandmasters rarely use level 7-dimensional marrow fluid. It drains the spirit and injures oneself." Luke looked at his phone again and said, "All right, level 6 it is. I guess I'll make do. But 74 servings, that's too few points." Hearing this, True Time could only think tiredly. Every sentence he says is enough to make someone die of anger. "When I became a Grandmaster, I only used 10 servings of level 6 marrow fluid." He then handed a few files to Luke. "The second thing I wanted to talk to you about today. The Martial Saint Lord, Tan Zhongyu, has been informed of your situation and has agreed to take you as a disciple. Whether you can become a true disciple of the Martial Saint Lord will depend on you passing one more test." Luke pulled out the document from a folder and asked, confused, "A test?" A piece of paper read, "Become the top student in the country in the martial arts conference." Luke was surprised. The top student in the country in the martial arts conference? This is considered a test. True Time, adjusting his glasses, replied, "I know what you're thinking. In this 7th St. Martial University, indeed, no one is your opponent. But this martial arts conference is different. This time, students from all over the country, in addition to students from the St. Martial Universities, will also include disciples from all martial arts schools under the age of 30, such as the Extreme Tao and Transcendent schools." Luke narrowed his eyes. The Martial Saints' disciples. True Time affirmed, "That's right. The Extreme Tao Martial School and the Transcendence Martial School are both founded by level 9 martial saints who took in disciples from a young age. They are geniuses who have been taught with utmost dedication. They are much more terrifying than geniuses from an educational background like us. The under 30 age range is also not small. So if you want to get first place, it will be very difficult, one could say extremely difficult." Luke thought of his own slaughter scenes and broke out in a cold sweat. So I killed the extreme Tao Grandmaster because of this conference. Picking up another folder, he asked curiously, There's another one. True Time now had a more relaxed expression and smiled. That's right. Although there's only one test, you can choose one of two options. The second option only requires completing one mission. But when he opened it, it was Luke's turn to have a grim expression. The content on the paper was, complete an SSS rank mission. Difficulty, extremely dangerous. He was completely shocked. An SSS rank mission. SSS rank mission. Luke read aloud, nonchalantly. Sounds like something out of a comic book. Target, Lien Yi, level 5 martial artist. Criminal record. Murder, armed, ruthless personality, vicious methods. Mission requirement, none. Mission reward, none. As he read the document, he thought, no reward at all. And the target is just a level 5 martial artist. Taking him down should be easy, but it's marked as SSS rank. He read the notes section. Results of the background check on the target's family. So that's it. Lien Yi is cruel and inhumane. His crimes are piling up. His father, Ji Bei, is a level 7 grandmaster under the extreme Tao martial school. Many of Lien Yi's cases have his father's involvement, either directly or indirectly. Lien Yi and the founder of the extreme Tao martial school, Zhao Ji, have a very good relationship. His younger sister is known as a once-in-a-millennium beauty and is also the 5th wife of Martial Saint Zhao Ji. This background gives Lien Yi an unparalleled status in the extreme Tao martial school, almost on the same level as a great grandmaster. After thinking, he turned to ask True Time, the most difficult part isn't killing him, but the consequences after killing him. Killing the brother-in-law of a martial saint, right? Pointing at the document, he continued his speculation. This guy really has done every evil thing imaginable. The evil deeds are listed on the back of the document. He doesn't even bother to hide them. Everyone probably knows about them. Just these things alone are enough for them to die dozens of times. True Time replied, That's right. This is the first SSS rank mission since the establishment of the 7th Saint Martial University. This person is not to be trifled with. The reason is an ordinary worker from a chemical garment factory. Both of his daughters were humiliated and harmed by Lien Yi and his father. He had nowhere to turn for help, so he knelt before a Martial Saint Tower a month ago. In the end, the Martial Saint Lord couldn't bear it. He decided to make killing Lien Yi an academic mission and post it on the mission board of the 7th Saint Martial University. But to prevent students from mistakenly accepting it, he set it at the SSS level and also canceled the mission's reward. Luke listened intently. He then began to question again. Then why doesn't the Martial Saint take action directly, or let teachers who are level 7 grandmasters like you do it? Making it an academic mission for students to carry out is no different from ignoring it. True Taim's face turned grave as he reminded him, Luke Saint, watch your words. You have no idea how terrifying a saint-level expert is. If 2 saint-level experts were to clash, what kind of shockwaves would it create in the country? Luke, after hearing this, made a cutting motion with 2 fingers. This mission has too many repercussions, even involving another martial saint. As soon as you kill the target, you will 100% face retaliation, not just from a level 7 grandmaster, but from the entire force of the extreme Tao martial school. He then said directly, It could even anger a martial saint, and there's no benefit to be gained. Tell me, what is the real purpose? True Time replied with a gentle expression, You're smart, Luke Saint. Behind Lien Yi and his father are the extreme Tao martial school and the extreme Tao martial saint. But supporting you are only the 7th Saint Martial University and Martial Saint Lord Tan. True Tai, I'm repeatedly tapped the file on the desk. As long as you become the Martial Saint's direct disciple. Do you understand what that means? Luke also replied seriously, a wide-open future, in terms of both resources and guidance. Even if they wanted revenge, the other party would have to hesitate. He then stood up and said, I understand. Please give me the address of the worker who knelt before the Marshall Saint Tower a month ago. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving now. You? True Time hesitated but then replied, All right, I'll send it to you via your school email later. After Luke stood up and left, True Time looked at the two documents in his hand and thought, Luke Saint, both of these choices are just a test from the Marshall Saint Lord for you. Think it over carefully. There's no need to rush into a decision. Your talent is excellent, and the abilities you've shown now have surpassed mine, and even surpassed most martial artists in the world. I hope you can understand my words, he thought, leaning on his hand in deep contemplation. Suddenly, a figure shrouded in darkness in the corner of the room spoke up. Old True, you've talked a lot today. True Time, as if already aware of the person's presence, replied, I know. It's just that I don't want to miss out on such a good seedling. The person approached him from behind and said, Only those who can pass the true test of the Marshall Saint Lord are good seedlings. Otherwise, they're just incompetent. Even if he's a young grandmaster, and his talent is even better, it's useless. Scene changed to Luke, who had now gone outside. He was thinking, he just said a whole bunch. It sounds like there are two choices, but actually, True Kong has already made it clear. It seems there's nothing. The image of True Tai pointing at the second document appeared, his serious expression seeming to say, the second choice is the correct one. Choose the second one. Luke thought, such a blatant hint, he must think I don't understand. The first choice, defeat all grandmasters under 30 in the entire country. True Kong thinks that with my current strength, I can't do it. But actually, by looking into the future through the system, I can definitely do it. But the second option is incredibly simple. Kill a level 5 martial artist, as easy as drinking water. And it would also force me into Tan Zhongyu's camp, because if I kill Yin Yi, I will naturally offend the extreme Dao Martial Saint. The best way to avoid retaliation from the extreme Dao Martial Saint is to seek protection from another Martial Saint, either by working for him or by getting out of here. Standing in front of a large building, he put his hands on his hips and exclaimed, This is really a conspiracy. I'm starting to suspect. Could Tan Zhongyu have seen me in my transformed state in the Marshall Saint Tower, crushing his will's avatar? At this point, Luke was standing in front of the Marshall Saint Tower. And yet Tan Zhongyu has laid out a clear path for my future. Although I don't want to be a hero or anything, Lin Yi and his father deserve to die. As he spoke, he walked down a long corridor. Even if I kill them, I will not join Tan Zhongyu's faction. If I can't even face the threat of one martial saint and need someone else's protection, then what's the point of talking about surpassing Wang He? I don't just want to kill Yin Yi and his father. I want to defeat every grandmaster in the country. His expression was filled with determination. Luke's entire body erupted in flames. He looked up, imagining countless evil people reaching down for him, and thought with determination, these two difficult problems, I will solve them both. Scene change to the Nanping suburban district. A female police officer was commanding her team. Move faster. Cordon off the surrounding area. Everyone stay focused. Be ready to provide support for Officer Qian and the others to get out at any time. This was Officer Xiao, the deputy chief of the Nanping City Police Department. Officer Xiao took out her walkie-talkie and spoke into it. Snipers in position. Can you get a visual on the situation inside? Report back to me immediately. A male police officer approached and said, Deputy Chief, why are you so tense? The experts from the headquarters in the capital are all around level 6 or higher, and there's even an expert ranked in the top 300 of the hunter list. Plus, with Officer Qian here, they could probably handle a level 7 dimensional beast. Officer Xiao sighed. You're right. It's just a level 6 dimensional beast inside. The prerequisite to be one of the top 300 hunters is to single-handedly eliminate 10 deep-level monsters. Looking at the situation behind her, she added, Maybe I'm just overthinking it. If nothing unexpected happens, we should be able to resolve this dimensional beast invasion before sunset. Suddenly, a yellow car drove up. Officer Xiao was surprised. What? The driver said, "We're here, bro." Luke got out of the car and replied, "Thanks." The driver was confused. This is a remote, mountainous area. Why are there still police cars here? Officer Xiao saw him approaching and warned, "Stop. Don't go any further. This area is sealed off. Go back immediately." Luke reached into his jacket and replied, "I'm here on a mission. This is the mission confirmation location." Officer Xiao took the paper in surprise. "A mission? Huh, 7th St. Marshall University, first-year student." She then said with a dismissive tone, "Are the requirements for the St. Marshall University so strict now? A first-year student is already taking on missions of this level." Luke folded his information sheet and replied nonchalantly, "Special case." Officer Xiao looked down in surprise at her empty hand where the information sheet had just been. She thought in bewilderment, "I'm a level 4 martial artist, at the very least. When did he take it from my hand? I didn't even notice. This person is not simple at all." She then said, "We might not need you anymore. Someone has already gone in. 4 level 6 experts, all at peak level, and one of them is a top 300 hunter. If nothing unexpected happens, this case will be resolved soon." Luke calmly asked back, "Really? What's the hunter ranking?" Officer Xiao explained, "It's a ranking within the St. Marshall Association that specializes in appraising rewards for hunters. The higher the mission level and completion difficulty, the higher the rank." Luke replied, "I see. Well, that's fine too. Saves me the trouble of going in for nothing." Officer Xiao was surprised by his calm demeanor. The male police officer, seeing this, shouted angrily, "Hey kid, didn't you hear her? I said, we don't need you." Suddenly, a massive explosion occurred in the building. Officer Xiao was extremely alarmed and tense. She quickly spoke into her walkie-talkie, "Prepare. All units, on alert." Several people leaped out of the huge cloud of smoke. But one person was unlucky and was caught by something monstrous that shot out from the smoke. A scream echoed. "Ah, no!" The unfortunate person desperately reached out for help. "Help me! Help me!" Officer Xiao gritted her teeth, both angry and horrified. She then gave the order, "Fire! Fire at will." A barrage of rockets was launched towards the building. Officer Xiao looked at the man who had fallen to the ground and asked worriedly, "Are you okay?" She then turned to call for the recovery team, but before she could finish, a hand grabbed her shirt. The man questioned angrily, "What kind of intel did you guys have? The dimensional beast inside isn't a level 6 at all. It's a genuine level 7. Hearing this, Officer Xiao was horrified. "What? Level 7? This isn't a problem a city's armed forces can handle. We need to contact the military immediately." A hand reached out and stopped her. "No, not for now." Luke took the walkie-talkie and said calmly, "Just let me go in and take a look. Remember to adjust the mission's difficulty level after I'm done. You guys just have a drink and rest for a bit." The others stared at him in stunned silence. 5 minutes at most, Luke said, exuding a powerful, menacing aura. He then vanished into thin air, leaving everyone in shock. A second later, he appeared on the roof of the building. His feet landed on the railing. Everyone quickly turned to follow his movement. Everyone was horrified. "Oh my God, did I just see a ghost? What kind of speed is that? That guy, who on earth is he?" Meanwhile, Luke was calmly preparing to enter. A wave of gas blew past him, and he had to cover his nose in disgust. "It stinks. It smells like dead livestock left out in the sun for a few days." His face was filled with disgust as he thought, "I smelled it during the Enlightened General Star selection too, but it wasn't this strong. It seems those dimensional beasts were bathed before the selection." He then continuously leaped up the stairs. Arriving in a room, he didn't hesitate to pull the door open. An eye from inside reflected his image. Inside, an unfortunate person was being held by a monster with grotesque, jagged teeth. The room was filled with countless corpses piled up like a small mountain. Straps hung down from the ceiling like a spider's web. The floor was covered in a disgusting fluid. The centerpiece was the bizarre, multi-eyed monster gnawing on a person. Luke's eyes turned ice cold. So, it's you, the flesh-shy demon octopus. The monster then tossed the person aside. Luke watched the person fall and said with sorrow, "Sorry, I was late." But Luke closed his eyes tightly. His entire body erupted in a massive flame, incinerating the flesh-eyed demon octopus. Luke said to those who had fallen there, "I promise you, I won't let it die an easy death." Luke's eyes glowed brightly. The power in his body surged even more intensely, heralding the imminent death of the flesh-eyed demon octopus. From outside the building, dark smoke billowed out. Everything seemed to be gradually collapsing.
This is the end of the video. If you guys want to see the next part, then don't forget to subscribe and like the video.